In the stillness of the night, among the branches of the dense eucalyptus forests, a small, wide-eyed creature glides silently from tree to tree. With a leap and a stretch of skin, it soars through the air almost like magic. Meet the sugar glider, one of nature's most enchanting aerial acrobats. Welcome to Fascinating Fauna, your window into the most incredible species on Earth. If you're passionate about wildlife and want to keep discovering more hidden wonders of the animal kingdom, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a journey into the wild. The sugar glider, Ptoris breviceps, is a small marsupial native to Australia, Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea. Despite their name, sugar gliders are not rodents. They belong to the same mammalian group as kangaroos and koalas. They weigh between 100 to 160 grams and measure around 24 to 30 centimeters in total length, including their long, bushy tails. But what truly sets them apart is their gliding membrane, known as the patagium, a flap of skin stretching from their wrists to their ankles, allowing them to glide distances of over 50 meters in a single leap. Sugar gliders are nocturnal and arboreal, meaning they are active at night and live in trees. During the day, they sleep curled up in tree hollows, usually in groups of 6 to 10 individuals. At night, they emerge to forage, feeding on sap, nectar, insects, and, of course, sugary tree gums, which is how they earn their sweet-sounding name. Their big, black eyes are specially adapted for night vision, helping them navigate the forest canopy in near-total darkness. Their sharp claws and opposable toes allow them to cling to bark and branches with ease. Gliding is more than just a method of travel, it's a survival strategy. Sugar gliders use gliding to escape predators, reach distant food sources, and maintain social contact with their group. They launch themselves from a high branch, spread their limbs, and use their patagium like wings. Steering midair with subtle movements of their limbs and tail, they land gracefully on their target tree. In fact, their tail acts like a rudder, giving them excellent control in the air. It's a natural marvel, a mammal that mimics flight without wings. Sugar gliders are highly social creatures. They communicate with each other using a range of vocalizations, from chirps and barks to hisses, and even purring. They also use scent glands to mark their territory and strengthen bonds within their group. A dominant male typically leads the group and is responsible for grooming and protecting the others. These bonds are so strong that isolated sugar gliders can experience depression and stress, which is why in captivity they must always be kept in pairs or groups. When it comes to raising young, female sugar gliders carry their babies in a pouch, just like kangaroos. The joey will stay in the pouch for around 70 days before emerging, then continue to ride on the mother's back and be nursed for several more weeks. Sugar gliders thrive in eucalyptus and acacia forests, where food sources are abundant and tall trees provide gliding platforms. However, habitat destruction due to logging, agriculture, and urban expansion poses a growing threat to wild populations. In some parts of their range, especially in Indonesia, their numbers are declining. Though they're not currently listed as endangered, continued deforestation and the illegal pet trade could change that. Ironically, in other parts of the world, particularly the United States, sugar gliders have become popular exotic pets. But this comes with serious ethical concerns. These wild creatures have complex social and environmental needs that are extremely difficult to replicate in captivity. Beyond their gliding ability, sugar gliders possess an impressive suite of sensory adaptations that allow them to thrive in the treetops. Their large, mobile ears can rotate independently, giving them a finely tuned sense of hearing, crucial for detecting predators or the rustle of an insect in the foliage. Their sense of smell is also highly developed. They use it not only to locate food sources like nectar or tree sap, but also to recognize members of their colony. Males have prominent scent glands on their forehead and chest, which they use to mark both territory and individuals within the group, a sort of biological name tag that keeps social structure in place. Sugar gliders also have a split, partially prehensile tongue, allowing them to efficiently lap up nectar, sap, and pollen from hard-to-reach spots. This tiny tool, often overlooked, is vital to their survival in ecosystems where floral resources can be hidden or seasonal. In their native habitat, sugar gliders play an important ecological role as both pollinators and insect controllers. While feeding on the nectar and pollen of flowering trees, they inadvertently transfer pollen from blossom to blossom, a service essential for the regeneration of many native plants. Their appetite for insects, including beetles, moths, and even spiders, helps keep certain populations in check, creating a delicate balance between predator and prey. Occasionally, they'll feed on bird eggs or small vertebrates, which makes them opportunistic omnivores rather than strict herbivores or insectivores. The sugar glider's ability to glide isn't just biological, it's also an example of biomechanical precision. Before taking off, the glider will often pause to assess wind direction and distance. It then launches into the air, extending its limbs outward to create a parachute-like surface with its patagium. While airborne, the sugar glider subtly adjusts its wrist and ankle angles to steer. The curvature of the gliding membrane allows it to create lift, not unlike the wing of an airplane, enabling it to curve its trajectory or change course mid-glide. Upon nearing its destination, it raises its tail and front limbs upward to slow down and prepare for a soft landing, often using its claws to grip bark upon impact. Scientists have studied sugar gliders to better understand the aerodynamics of passive flight, and their biomechanics have inspired engineering innovations in fields like robotics and drone design. While sugar glider is a general term, there are actually several subspecies and closely related gliders across Australasia. These include the mahogany glider, Ptoris gracilis, the squirrel glider, Ptoris norfolcensis, and the yellow-bellied glider, Ptoris australis. Each has slightly different size, color, and range adaptations. For instance, sugar gliders in Papua New Guinea tend to be smaller and lighter in coloration than those in mainland Australia. Some populations even exhibit variations in social behavior depending on environmental pressures, such as more solitary habits in areas where food is scarce. This diversity reflects the sugar glider's evolutionary flexibility, allowing it to occupy a wide range of forest types, from tropical rainforests to dry eucalyptus woodlands. One of the lesser-known but truly fascinating aspects of sugar gliders is their complex vocal communication. Researchers have cataloged at least 7 distinct sounds, ranging from soft chirps and squeaks to barking, hissing, and even crabbing, a defensive, buzzing noise they make when frightened or threatened. These vocalizations serve purposes beyond alarm or navigation. Sugar gliders will chirp softly when grooming each other, a sound associated with comfort and bonding. Juveniles call out with high-pitched squeals when separated from their mothers, while adults will bark rhythmically to locate each other in the dark. There's growing evidence suggesting sugar gliders possess a form of emotional intelligence, showing stress, affection, and social awareness. In captivity, they often respond to their human caregivers with familiarity and may even form loyal social attachments, though their needs for space and stimulation remain significant. While we've touched on the basics of reproduction, the details of the sugar glider's reproductive cycle reveal even more about their complex biology. Sugar gliders breed seasonally in the wild, usually once or twice a year, timed with periods of abundant food availability. After a very short gestation of about 15 to 17 days, the tiny, jelly bean-sized joey, no bigger than a grain of rice, is born and instinctively crawls into the mother's pouch. Inside, it attaches to one of 4 teats and continues its development for the next 2 to 3 months. The pouch acts as a warm, secure incubator where the joey undergoes rapid transformation. Even after emerging, the young glider isn't fully independent. It spends several more weeks riding on its mother's back, learning how to climb, feed, and eventually glide. Interestingly, female sugar gliders have 2 uteri and 2 vaginas, a trait shared by many marsupials. This allows them to become pregnant again soon after giving birth, while still nurturing a joey in the pouch, an evolutionary advantage in unstable environments. Another fascinating survival strategy is their ability to enter torpor, a short-term state of metabolic slowdown. Unlike true hibernation, Torpor in sugar gliders is brief and flexible. They may enter it overnight or during cold spells when food is scarce. During torpor, their body temperature drops, their breathing slows, and their energy usage decreases dramatically. This helps them conserve energy in challenging conditions, especially in Australia's dry inland forests, where temperatures can swing from hot days to cold nights. This ability is not just crucial for survival, it's also being studied for its implications in medical science, particularly in areas like human metabolic disorders and the potential for suspended animation in space travel. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of sugar gliders, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow wildlife lovers, and subscribe to Fascinating Fauna for more captivating journeys into the hidden corners of the natural world. In the wild, sugar gliders typically live 5 to 7 years, though in captivity, under proper care, they can reach up to 12 to 15 years. This discrepancy is due to the absence of predators, diseases, and food shortages in human-controlled environments. Unlike many small mammals, sugar gliders age slowly once they reach adulthood. Signs of aging include reduced activity, thinning fur, and decreased agility, particularly in gliding ability. However, many older gliders remain social and active well into their senior years. Recent studies suggest that sugar gliders may produce antioxidants at higher levels than expected for their size, possibly as a mechanism to offset oxidative stress from their high-energy lifestyle. Understanding this could contribute to broader studies on aging in small mammals. Though they are agile and quick, sugar gliders are not without natural enemies. In the wild, they face predation from owls, snakes, goannas, and feral cats. Their main defense is evasion, gliding away from danger before a predator can strike. They also rely heavily on camouflage and stillness. Their grayish fur with darker stripes helps them blend into the bark of eucalyptus trees. When threatened, they flatten against branches, becoming almost invisible in the moonlight. Introduced species like foxes and domestic cats pose a significant new threat, especially in fragmented habitats near human settlements. These predators can decimate local populations, particularly if the gliders have fewer trees to escape to. Although sugar gliders are marketed as low-maintenance exotic pets, their emotional and social needs are often misunderstood or ignored. In captivity, they require a large vertical space for climbing and gliding, a specialized diet, and most importantly, companionship. Solitary sugar gliders often show signs of stress and neurotic behavior, excessive grooming, pacing, vocal distress, or self-mutilation. Many new owners are unaware that a sugar glider kept alone can literally grieve itself to death. Moreover, improper diets, high in fruits or low in protein, can cause nutritional imbalances, including calcium deficiency, leading to paralysis or early death. Despite these challenges, sugar gliders continue to be sold worldwide, often without proper education or regulation. This raises broader ethical questions about the domestication of wild animals and whether our fascination with exotic pets may sometimes do more harm than good. Long before sugar gliders were introduced to the pet trade or scientific journals, they held a quiet presence in the oral traditions and observations of indigenous Australian communities. While not central to mythology in the same way as kangaroos or emus, sugar gliders were nonetheless known for their mysterious nocturnal behavior and uncanny ability to fly through the forest. In some Aboriginal languages, these animals are referred to with names like Piduri or similar terms, reflecting a deep familiarity with their habits and habitats. Indigenous trackers could identify their presence by subtle signs, scratch marks on trees, trails of sap, or faint calls at dusk. This ecological knowledge, passed down through generations, has only recently begun to receive the recognition it deserves from Western science. Understanding sugar gliders through the lens of traditional ecological knowledge reminds us that these animals are not just biological curiosities, but are woven into the living heritage of the landscapes they inhabit. As deforestation and land development continue across Australia, sugar gliders face increasing challenges, but they're also displaying surprising adaptive behavior. In some areas, sugar gliders have been observed living in suburban parks and gardens, using power lines as highways and gliding between trees in urban neighborhoods. However, this adaptation comes at a cost. Fragmented habitats force gliders to travel longer distances between food sources, exposing them to cars, predators, and isolation. In response, conservationists have begun installing artificial glide poles, tall wooden posts that act as mid-air rest stops or launching platforms, allowing gliders to cross roads safely. These interventions are small but important steps in mitigating the effects of habitat loss. They also highlight the sugar glider's remarkable ability to coexist with human expansion, if given the right support. In recent years, sugar gliders have become a subject of increasing interest in comparative physiology and aerodynamics research. Scientists are using high-speed cameras and 3D motion tracking to study the fine details of their gliding posture, mid-air corrections, and landing precision. One discovery is that sugar gliders use their tail not just as a rudder, but as a dynamic stabilizer, adjusting pitch and orientation like a tightrope walker's pole. These studies are being used to design bio-inspired drones that mimic glider motion for more efficient, energy-saving flight. Moreover, sugar gliders are also contributing to neuroscience research, especially in areas like spatial memory and navigation. In controlled environments, they've demonstrated an ability to remember complex pathways and optimize flight routes, shedding light on how small-brained animals process spatial data. Despite their relative adaptability, sugar gliders are not immune to the pressures of climate change, deforestation, and illegal trade. In Australia, their conservation status is generally least concern, but localized populations are showing signs of stress, especially those separated by roads or agriculture. Outside Australia, sugar gliders have been introduced to new regions, including parts of Indonesia and even Hawaii, where they are considered invasive due to their potential impact on local fauna. Global conservation groups are calling for greater monitoring, particularly of subspecies with more limited ranges, like the mahogany glider or the Biak glider. Captive breeding programs and habitat corridor projects are becoming essential to ensure the long-term survival of these agile marsupials. The story of the sugar glider is still unfolding. As we learn more about their biology, behavior, and ecological role, we also discover how fragile their world truly is. Whether soaring effortlessly through rainforest canopies or gliding silently across a suburban skyline, the sugar glider remains a symbol of adaptability, community, and wild beauty. But its future depends on us, on our ability to understand, protect, and coexist with the wild creatures we share this planet with. Beyond their vocal calls and physical cues, sugar gliders rely heavily on chemical communication to navigate their social world. Males possess a prominent scent gland on the top of their head, often visible as a small bald spot, as well as glands on the chest and near the cloaca. They use these glands to mark their territory, family members, and favored pathways, leaving behind a complex chemical signature that can convey everything from dominant status to reproductive readiness. This scent-marking behavior creates a kind of olfactory map that helps maintain cohesion in the group and signals to outsiders which areas are occupied. Females, while less conspicuously scented, also participate in chemical signaling, especially during estrus. These subtle messages are essential in environments where visibility is low and quick. Quiet communication can mean the difference between safety and danger. As a strictly nocturnal species, sugar gliders have evolved exceptional low-light vision. Their large, forward-facing eyes are not only key to depth perception for gliding, but also packed with rod cells, the photoreceptors responsible for black and white vision in dim lighting. Interestingly, recent studies suggest that sugar gliders may have limited color vision, likely restricted to the blue and green spectrum, enough to distinguish foliage types or detect ripe fruits even under moonlight. Their vibrissae, whiskers, around the nose and eyebrows are highly sensitive, helping them navigate narrow spaces in total darkness. Combined with an acute sense of hearing, sugar gliders are perfectly tuned for nighttime exploration, able to detect the soft flutter of moth wings or the creak of a swaying branch. Gliding is not simply falling with style, it's a precise, muscular act. Sugar gliders have powerful pectoral muscles that stretch and control the patagium. These muscles work in tandem with their limbs to alter the shape and tension of the gliding membrane mid-flight, allowing for sharp turns, deceleration, and pinpoint landings. Their lightweight bones, elongated limbs, and semi-opposable toes contribute to both gliding and climbing ability. The hind feet have an opposable first toe, which functions like a thumb, giving them extraordinary grip on vertical bark and branches. To launch, gliders often run along a branch to build momentum, then leap into the air, extending their limbs into a distinctive X shape. While airborne, they can adjust for wind and distance, with landings cushioned by the flexible cartilage at their wrists and ankles. Far from being passive inhabitants of the forest, sugar gliders play active ecological roles in their native habitats. As pollinators, they feed on the nectar of flowering plants, including eucalyptus and banksia. While doing so, pollen clings to their fur and is transferred from flower to flower, much like bees or bats. They also help control insect populations, consuming beetles, moths, and larvae. This predation can keep certain pests in check, contributing to the overall health of the forest. Moreover, sugar gliders are part of intricate mutualistic networks. They benefit from tree sap and in turn may aid in pruning or aerating trees through their feeding behavior. Their abandoned nests may also be used by other species, such as frogs, birds, or lizards, showing how interdependent life in the canopy can be. While sugar glider typically refers to Ptoris breviceps, there are actually several subspecies and closely related species across Australia, New Guinea, and parts of Indonesia. These populations exhibit regional adaptations in size, color, behavior, and dietary preference. For example, northern sugar gliders tend to be smaller and lighter, adapted to warmer climates with shorter gliding distances. Southern populations are larger and more robust, suited for colder forests where longer glides between tall trees are necessary. Genetic analysis has even revealed that populations once thought to be the same species are distinct enough to be reclassified, such as the recently identified Crefts glider, Ptoris notatus, in parts of eastern Australia. These discoveries highlight the importance of localized conservation efforts, as protecting one population may not safeguard the genetic diversity of the species as a whole. Sugar gliders have a surprisingly wide vocal repertoire, used for everything from alarm calls to mating songs. Some of their most notable sounds include barking, a sharp, repetitive call that resembles a miniature dog, used to alert the group or express anxiety. Chirping or purring, a softer sound often heard between bonded gliders, particularly between mother and joey or during grooming. Crabbing, a loud, defensive noise that sounds like a tiny electric motor, often produced when a glider feels threatened or startled. These sounds are not random. They reflect the animal's emotional state, and experienced handlers or researchers can often tell what a glider is feeling based on tone and context. As such, sugar gliders remind us that emotion and communication in the animal world can be as complex as it is subtle. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of sugar gliders, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow wildlife lovers, and subscribe to Fascinating Fauna for more captivating journeys into the hidden corners of the natural world. Your support helps us bring more fascinating stories like this one to life. Now, let's glide right back into it. In the wild, sugar gliders are remarkable nest builders. They don't simply sleep in open branches or holes. They actively construct nests using a variety of plant materials such as eucalyptus leaves, bark strips, and feathers. These nests are typically located within tree hollows, which provide insulation, darkness, and protection from predators. Within the hollow, sugar gliders line the space with soft materials, creating a multi-layered bedding that helps regulate humidity and temperature. Nests are shared communally, and maintaining them is a group effort, with each member contributing by gathering materials or grooming the space. Interestingly, sugar gliders also rotate nesting sites periodically, likely to avoid parasites or predation, and they remember the location of each nest in their home range. This behavior indicates a high level of spatial memory and environmental awareness. While sugar gliders are among the most iconic gliding marsupials, they are not the only mammals to take to the skies. Their convergent evolution with animals like flying squirrels, rodentia, and colugo, Dermoptera, is a brilliant example of how similar environmental pressures can lead to nearly identical adaptations across unrelated species. Flying squirrels, for instance, also have a patagium and are nocturnal, but unlike sugar gliders, they bear live young and belong to a completely different evolutionary lineage. Colugo, or flying lemurs, though they are neither lemurs nor capable of true flight, have an even more extensive membrane that stretches from their neck to the tips of their tail. Sugar gliders differ in one crucial way. As marsupials, they raise their young in a pouch and tend to form more complex social groups. These comparisons highlight how nature solves the challenge of arboreal movement in multiple ingenious ways, each shaped by habitat, lineage, and evolutionary history. As climate patterns shift, sugar gliders are being forced to adapt to increasingly unpredictable environments. Rising temperatures can affect their thermoregulation, especially in regions where they are adapted to cooler climates. More importantly, deforestation and habitat fragmentation, exacerbated by climate change, are disrupting their ability to glide safely between trees. Gliding requires a continuous canopy. When forests are broken into isolated patches, sugar gliders face a higher risk of predation or injury attempting to cross open ground. These gaps can also restrict access to food and nesting sites, impacting their reproductive success and genetic diversity. Some populations have been observed altering their glide distances and even shifting their activity patterns to cope with the new challenges. However, adaptation has its limits. Without adequate conservation and wildlife corridors, sugar gliders may struggle to maintain healthy populations in the face of a changing planet. In recent decades, sugar gliders have become symbols of exotic charm, often featured in documentaries, social media, and even viral videos. Their wide-eyed innocence and playful gliding have made them particularly appealing to audiences around the world. They've appeared in educational programs, children's books, and even animated characters inspired by their aerial grace. However, this growing visibility has been a double-edged sword. While it has raised awareness about marsupial biodiversity, it has also contributed to the exotic pet trade, sometimes misrepresenting their true needs and complexity. Organizations and conservationists are working to educate the public about the real-life sugar glider, an animal of intelligence, emotion, and specialized behavior that thrives best in its natural habitat or in expert care. These ambassadors of the treetops remind us how vital it is to see beyond the surface and understand the full story of the animals we admire. And so, the sugar glider leaves us with a final leap, graceful, mysterious, and utterly captivating. These tiny navigators of the night remind us that the world still holds wonders we have yet to truly understand. From the treetops of Australia to the depths of our curiosity, their story glides through the silence of the forest and into our hearts. If this journey into the life of the sugar glider sparked your fascination, imagine what else awaits in the wild. Don't forget to subscribe to Fascinating Fauna for more extraordinary encounters with Earth's most incredible creatures. Hit the like button, share this video, and ring the bell so you never miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious and stay wild.